What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, we're going to be deep diving into the new fighters coming to Season 20 for the meta. There has been a meta shakeup. I'm sure you guys have seen the news, but if not, I do have videos covering them. But what we're going to take a look at is, firstly, take a look at the current fighters that we see in the meta. These are going to be our counter users. You guys can see this by typing in @counter in the PvPoke rankings. And as you can see, Annihilape, Machamp, Vigoroth, and Poliwrath have been the meta. Machamp forever, and then recently Annihilape, Vigoroth, and Poliwrath. All of these Pokemon are getting nerfed in one or multiple ways. Counter itself is going to be gaining less energy per turn than it is doing so currently in the game at the start of the new season, which means the utility of having coverage charge moves like Night Slash and Shadow Ball, Ice Punch, Dynamic Punch, Body Slam, Rock Slide, Scald, Icy Wind, it's going to get worse. It's going to take longer to get to those charge moves. But with it comes a very interesting shakeup, and that has been the buff to Karate Chop. Now, you guys can take a look. If you go to the 3 dashes, you can do this on mobile as well, and you go to the moves. What we're going to see here is we can filter by fast and charge moves. You guys have never done this before. It's really handy to kind of get an idea about what's happening under the hood, as we have damage, energy, and the turns, the amount of half seconds it takes. So a 2-turn move is 1 second duration. Damage per turn, energy per turn. You guys can see that's all right here for you. Now, what you can do is click on Preview Next Season. This is going to implement all the changes coming to the game that PvPoke is able to decipher. So what we're going to see is, and this is slightly subject to change, right? Because we don't have all the official numbers, but we have enough. So if we sort this by energy per turn, what you guys are going to see is that Karate Chop here is going to have the same energy per turn, 4.5, as Fairy Wind, Poison Sting, Psycho Cut, and Thundershock. Mudshot got a nerf, which is why it's not there anymore. But you guys understand those moves. And I want to ingrain this into your guys' head. Do you guys know how deadly, have you felt how deadly a Shadow Gallade or just a normal Gallade can be with Psycho Cut, Leaf Blade, and close combat? And I know it's really frail, but think about the damage that it can output, how insane that is. Karate Chop is going to be the same as Psycho Cut, but it's going to be better. Look at the damage. 5 damage per turn instead of 3. That's nearly double, which is going to give it 11.25 damage, or here we go, 2.5 damage per turn instead of 1.5. So you have the same energy as Psycho Cut that Gallade has access to, but now you have more damage. And there are 2 Pokemon that are going to be absolutely dominating because of this. So we understand that it's very high energy gain. Counter users are out. So if we type in counter here, we'll see the Pokemon that have access to counter, and notice how they're not running counter. Like the first counter user is going to be Poliwrath at 137 on the new rankings. What we have now is a Karate Chop meta, and that is going to be, oh man, it is so good. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in @Karate Chop, and what you're going to see is there's 2 Pokemon that take advantage of this. This is going to be Machamp and Pangoro. The reason is the Karate Chop is now it's decent damage, right? And very high energy gain. So this pairs well with Pokemon that have coverage charge moves. Machamp being the first, having access to Close Combat, Cross Chop, Stone Edge, which is Legacy, Rock Slide, Payback, which is Legacy, Dynamic Punch, Heavy Slam, potentially Return if you want to purify it. You have insane options right here, and this is going to play out very well for both the Great League and Ultra League. Remember, think about team dynamics, team building. If there's a specialty cup and there's a lot of fairies and you can have access to that Heavy Slam for super effective damage, or the Payback for Giratina Altereds and Cresselias in the Ultra League, I mean, it's going to be strong. Stone Edge, though, is going to be the moveset of choice. Stone Edge and Cross Chop is going to be the moveset of choice. You get the same stab coverage with Cross Chop, very low energy and spammy, which will pair well with Karate Chop. And that Stone Edge is going to hit like a nuke. And what I want to show you guys is some of these matchups. I mean, as you guys can see, we have our basic key wins, key losses. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the key losses here. First up being Jumpluff, which is going to be a top tier Pokemon in this meta. Look at the 2 shields. Look at this. Machamp, Shadow Machamp, can win in the 2 shields if it lands a Stone Edge. So this is a Shadow Machamp versus a Jumpluff with Fairy Wind and Aerial Ace, Karate Chop, and Stone Edge. Now granted, you're going to have to shield bait with Cross Chop twice, but that Stone Edge is going to do 71%. Just boom, see ya. That is the deadly nature that Machamp is going to have, or is going to be, right? It is going to be absolutely insane. And Jumpluff only takes 1 time super effective, right? Think about Talonflame or Charizard. Heck, even an Altaria. Let's go ahead and go for Altaria here. Let's take a look at what that Stone Edge will do. Guys, I mean, come on. Machamp, a fighting type Pokemon versus Altaria, a flyer, a mono-e-mono dominant typing, is going to win all of the shielding scenario. Are you guys understanding how crazy this is going to be? This is because of the ability to do so much damage with Stone Edge. And it's got to be that Shadow Machamp. Because remember, the Machamp is going to be excelling in damage output from its charge moves. And so if you can really land that Stone Edge front with the bonus 20% Shadow added onto it, that is what's hitting so dang hard. Now, if we change this to a normal Machamp, you'll see that it can still win, right? It loses the 0s, but it can win the 1 and 2s. So there is still a lot of play to be had with a normal Machamp, but the Shadow just hits so much better. And that's kind of insane. So yeah, even some of the hardest counters in terms of like coverage with the flying type moves and resistances are gonna get nuked by these charge moves. Now, Wigglytuff is a Pokemon that is going to be pretty strong, and I think we're going to see a lot more charm in this meta because of these Machamps. Flyers are no longer safe, right? You've seen Jumpluff and you've seen Altaria. You can just imagine how the others are gonna be, especially with the nerf to wing attack that we saw. So we're going to see a lot more hard-hitting, fast move coverage. Confusion and Charm are going to be the 2 go-tos for Machamp to taking down Machamp. Charm is going to outplay the Confusion because of its coverage to Pangoro as well. Pangoro's part Dark type. So you're going to see a lot of Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff got a buff with that Swift upgrade. So we're going to see a lot of that, but you can obviously team build around this. So this season is going to be kind of crazy. I think we're going to see a high uptick in Charm, a high uptick in Wigglytuffs, and a lot of Machamps. Now, that is the Machamp in the Great League. Let's look at Pangoro. Now, to think about Pangoro, it has similar movesets in terms of like good coverage, right? Fighting, Dark, Rock, and Steel. That's exactly what Machamp had. It's just got different moves in those roles. So we have Close Combat, Night Slash, Rock Slide, and Iron Head. You still have Karate Chop, which is going to be the best option here, but there is Snarl as well, and Bullet Punch and Low Kick. But Karate Chop obviously is going to be the go-to. Now, with Close Combat and Night Slash, this is dark fighting, by the way, so think Scrafty, right? Just think Pangoro is the new Scrafty, but better, right? Think about that. So Nidoqueen Double Dark, maybe that makes a comeback, right? With the Umbreon and Pangoro Anchor, that could be pretty deadly. But you have great coverage here, and so you're going to be losing to a lot of similar things that we saw the Machamp losing to. So let's take a look at this matchup here. I imagine it's going to be a bit worse. Yeah, it's going to be a bit worse. So Pangoro doesn't have that option with the Stone Edge nuke, right? That did like 60 to 70% of Jumpluff's health. The Night Slash instead is looking to do 22.5. You guys highlight over the moves, you can see that percentage there. And then obviously the Aerial Ace is going to be doing a lot of damage, and Fairy Wind is really going to add up because it's double super effective because of that fighting dark. So not able to handle it as well, but it's still a fantastic Pokemon. Azumarill is going to be another tough Pokemon to face off against because you are doing all resisted damage. But even in the 2 shields here, it gets kind of close. Look, you get the Azumarill down to 26 HP, and that is with the Ice Beam Play Rough moveset. I imagine it gets a bit better if it's going to be Hydro Pump Play Rough because you don't have the lower energy cost spam with Ice Beam. So that might get a bit... Actually, let's just change it. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, it's still basically the same. A little bit less health here on that side. But you guys get the picture. Pangoro can still go toe-to-toe in these situations. So if you're in a situation where the Azumarill is at like 30% HP, Pangoro can overcome that with the Karate Chop close combat action or the Night Slash, because close combat is going to do 25% of Azumarill's health. Night Slash is doing 13. So overall, these 2 Pokemon in the Great League are going to be very, very strong. They are the top 2 fighters if we just look at fighting. Top 2 fighters. And as you can see, Shadow Glade is number 3 with Cycle Cut, Close Combat, and Leaf Blade. And you guys already know that. You've experienced it. If you haven't, it is deadly. If a Shadow Glade, you don't have a hard counter to it, and it's all neutral matchups, and it gets slightly ahead on energy with shield advantage, you're done. I know a lot of Pokemon can do that, but this thing is the spammiest thing I've ever seen with Psycho Cut and Leaf Blade in close combat. So Machamp and Pangoro, that is the Great League. Let's take a look at Ultra League. Top fighters are once again Pangoro, Cobalion, Machamp, and Virizion. So we know Cobalion and Virizion. They have been strong, tried and true for a long time now. But now we have 2 new options. Pangoro, same moveset, Close Combat, Night Slash, and Karate Chop. You're going to be covering Giratina Altered because you have access to Night Slash. You're going to have to watch out for Virizion, but I imagine a Close Combat is still going to do well in this matchup, right? We have the Double Kick and the Sacred Sword, which is doing a lot of damage. Looking at the matchups, yeah, you just straight up lose all the shielding scenarios, but Close Combat can still do 46%. So roughly 50% of Virizion's HP in a hard counter matchup, which is still really nice. The Cresselia matchup, this is something we got to take a deeper look at. It doesn't flip it around like we would hope for, like we saw with Jumpluff and Machamp, but you can still do a lot of damage. As Night Slash here doing 25%, Moonblast though well over 100%. So the Cresselias are still going to be able to lock that down, but at least you have great chip damage. Imagine you get a nice healthy farm down. Maybe you farm down a Registeel or something in the Ultra League, and then you have double Night Slashes locked and loaded. The Cresselia coming in is going to be very far behind. You're going to be able to put down a lot of pressure. So that is Pangoro, looking pretty strong. Actually, Skeletors, this is another one I want to see because it does have access to Disarming Voice. So yeah, you actually can win the 2 shield scenario by going straight Night Slash, which is so interesting because you double shield. Yeah, I don't know why they go for Shadow Ball right here because it's going to be resisted, but either way, it didn't matter. You had 2 shields, and the one Night Slash is going to be doing 42% in the Ultra League. So that is a lot of damage. Pangoro is going to be very strong. Pangoro is more of like... Pangoro is great if you're seeing a lot more Ghosts and Psychics because of the Night Slash, whereas the Machamp here is going to be very strong if you're seeing Fires and Flyers, and that's because of Stone Edge. So it can straight up beat a Talonflame, a Skeledirge, the Cobalion, and the Virizion, but you're going to be struggling more against the Giratina Altered, the Cresselia, and the Trevenant. So there is a give and take with both of these Pokemon, as it's like, it's flipped, right? It's completely flipped. You got Virizion, Talonflame, and Skeledirge over here, and then now they're on this side. So 2 fighters, 2 different roles, and honestly, you could utilize these as a potential ABB formation. But it's looking so good. Let's take a look at the Giratina Altered matchup here with Machamp. I want to see how much damage this Stone Edge is doing. About 40%, 39.7. So that's still a respectable amount of damage from Shadow Machamp right here. Able to go toe-to-toe with the Giratina Altered. You're still going to lose. Like, it's not, especially if you are behind, you're not ahead in any way, shape, or form. It's not a 2-to-1 shielding scenario. It's not a massively ahead on energy from a farm down. You're going to be struggling, but it's still looking very good for Machamp overall to have the coverage that it does with a lot of the neutral damage they can put out on the back end. So these two fighters are coming to the meta. This is going to be at the start of the new season. Pangoro does not currently have access to Karate Chop. It gets that at the start of the new season, and the Machamp's move is Legacy, so you're going to have to use an Elite Fast TM in order to get that. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's going to be worth it. We're going to see, I mean, Great League, this is where I've already invested in these right away. Obviously, I got a TM Karate Chop onto my Pangoro, but I have my Machamp, I have my Pangoro basically ready to go for Great League. Those investments are worth it. As for Ultra League, I think they're going to be worth it again. I already have a Machamp up there. I would love to get a Shadow Machamp up there, but I'm going to need to find some better ones. And then Pangoro, I have to power one up, but I'm going to save some Stardust at the start because I want to make sure I have everything ready for Great League first. So those are our new fighters for the Great and Ultra League. Machamp, Shadow Machamp I should say, and Pangoro, incredibly strong. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Gone are the days of Annihilate, Poliwrath, Vigoroth, and Medicham, and say hello to Machamp and Pangoro and more charm. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. See ya!